What is this?
Are we allowed to tell them?
Yeah, we can tell them.
Okay. It's a...
What's going on, everyone? Alex Divaletti from Detroit Speed. We are back again. It's been a couple weeks since we've done another project update. So we've got Matt here again. We're gonna walk through the shop and just give you a quick update on what's been going on. There's been a lot of progress made, some really cool things to check out. So with that said, I'll flip the camera around and we'll walk through the shop and let you know what's going on. The first car we have here in the shop is Chris's Daytona. I know a lot of the work that's being done on this car right now is in the back. So you wanna walk over there and talk about that?
And we can touch on the front real quick. Nothing physically has been happening here, but in the background, huge stuff happening. Basically all the modeling has been totally wrapped up as far as the carbon front end.
Okay.
Zach, this past week, finished up 3D printing the entire front bumper assembly.
The whole thing, 3D printed?
Yep, 3D printed in 2 pieces. I think he said it was something like a 300 and some odd hour print. Jeez. So basically 12 days straight of 3D printing, entire bumper. So what'll happen is the 3D print is the actual plug for making the mold.
Oh, okay.
So he'll pull a mold off of that and then bring us, ultimately we'll start with fiberglass parts. Yep. That way if we cut them up, modify them, you know, we can mess with them. And then in the end, the fiberglass will be used to lay up the carbon parts. That is crazy. Yep.
300 hours?
Yeah, huge print.
That's insane.
The goal will be getting most of the front end parts done, and Zach will hand deliver those to the shop. You know, definitely don't want a chance shipping something like that.
Yeah, that would be cool to get him in here and lay it all up.
Yep.
It'll be sweet. So Mark's making progress back here.
Yep. Yeah, in the meantime, just working on some of the sheet metal repair back here. You know, all AMD replacement sheet metal. The Mopar stuff is really, really nice. Fits really well.
Mm-hmm.
So tail panel and everything's mocked up. Inside the trunk, in going through a lot of the CAD models and stuff, when we were doing the lower diffuser for the rear out of carbon, we decided that the fuel tank was hanging too low.
Okay.
So what we did is Mark raised the trunk floor 2.5 inches, pushed the fuel tank up farther in the car, so it'll have a nice smooth transition all the way across the diffuser or belly pan, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. I thought it was cool. He made the his little stamp dies to put these beads in that extra piece that he added in there.
Yep. So a lot of times, you know, if you don't have a tool readily available, you know, we end up making a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He whipped these up on the Bridgeport, just manual mill. It's a pretty straightforward shape, but mimics, you know, the features that were already in the trunk there.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. You just punch 2 holes, that sets your alignment, and stamp it, and then just weld the holes up.
Yeah, it's really cool. And we'll touch on that too when we move over to Kevin's GTO as well, because the Pole Max die for the intake cover is pretty unique as well.
Yeah, yep, that was rad.
Because we posted it on our Facebook, but we never actually talked about it. Yeah. So maybe we'll move over here now, and then we'll kind of give a quick insight on how we did that.
First, you start with sheet metal, preferably flat.
No way.
Yeah, no, so Josh whipped this up. So the goal was to mimic the features that were in the factory LT5 blower lid here.
Mm-hmm. So
the main body of the cover here is sheet metal, like 18 gauge. The die that you're talking about for the Pole Max is how you get this ribbed feature here. So once he made the die and roughly shaped this, you run it through in multiple passes until you get the depth that you want, or basically the full depth of the die.
Right.
And then there's a little bit of hammering to tune up the ends. And then the last feature, these pieces here are all individually cut and silicon bronzed. He initially looked at trying to stamp these features in, but doing this shape into the radius sheet metal, it's not really a great way to do it. So
right,
because they're just manually cut out and tigged in place.
That looks amazing though. That's so cool because it looks, I mean, if you look at the overall pattern, looking straight at it, and then you move over here and you look at the same pattern on the blower lid. I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah,
and it's a nice way to tie everything together too, because they're so similar that it just looks like it belongs.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, for being a fabricated part versus a mass-produced, probably cast part, you know, it's once it's body worked, it'll look, you know, very, very close.
Right. So that's another cool little piece, hand fabricated.
Yep. And then this car is basically done in fab. We've just been wrapping up some of the small details. So, you know, stuff like Bruce whipped up some stainless upper and lower radiator hoses. Couldn't really find any rubber hoses that we were super happy with, so
right.
We've done this on quite a few builds as well. It's a little bit cleaner look.
Yeah, and another quick tip, just for you guys that are building cars at home, if you have a custom application and you can't figure out what hose to get, if you just take like a piece of welding wire and kind of bend the shape you're looking for to get it there, just take that to your local auto parts store and find whatever's close.
Yep, we do that a ton. But the main thing is once you find a hose you like, make sure you write down the part number so you don't have to
exactly. Yep. Yeah. So you just know.
Yeah.
Yep. Same thing with belts. If you find a belt that fits your application, make sure you write it down so you never forget the length. And then I know Bruce was telling me earlier this morning he did some hood modification.
Yeah. Again, just detail work. Places where we cut the hood. Josh made covers for the hood inserts just to clean up the look. So came in and filled in some of the sheet metal and, you know, put flanges back on it where we clearanced it for the blower and stuff like that. So
right. Josh, I was told he made this shifter. So I thought that was pretty cool. He turned the handle in the lathe and then got the final shape off of it, and then he made the stalk as well.
Yep. Yeah, he scratch built all that. He whipped it up pretty quick too.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool because it has that, you know, that Hurst T-handle look,
yeah.
But it's different because it's handmade.
Yeah, it's a little bit more refined. You know, the Hurst I think has like kind of the grips on the bottom,
right?
Whereas this is a little bit smoother. And then even looking over the top, you can see how the shape kind of swells out and then tapers back a little bit. So it's a neat little piece. And, you know, most people probably won't realize it's handmade, but that's a little bit extra you get, you know, building a car here. It's every little detail like that. So stuff like that's really cool.
I thought that was neat. And even just sitting in the driver's seat and resting your hand on it, like it feels right. It's in the right position. And then this morning, Bruce added some pedals, an extended throttle pedal, just so, you know, if you want to get in some heel toe action, that's a little easier.
We touched on the spoiler at all in the last video?
I don't think we did.
So it's a GTO, obviously a GTO spoiler. The angle and fitment is kind of weird on these from the factory. It actually follows the contour of the deck lid and it's laid back a lot more.
Okay.
So Josh cut the stands and modified it, stood it up a little bit more flat, and then also cut and extended the ends here because normally they're about 3/4 of an inch inboard.
Okay, so that was just to get it flush with this body line here.
Brought it out to the quarters to line it up. So just, again, small tweaks that help the look overall. Again, a lot of people may not notice.
Yeah, and that falls in line with, you know, all the modifications to the nose as well.
Yeah, it's just, you know, just refine the look of what the factory did.
Yeah, OE plus. Yeah, it looks really good.
And stuff like too, Bruce dimpled the door locks to match. You know, the trunk lock is dimpled from the factory, so you know, stuff like that just ties the whole car together.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's basically within a couple weeks of going to the other side of the wall.
Okay.
Jason will spend 1 to 2 months off and on roughing in the wiring.
Yep.
So that way we get relay panels mounted, any extra modules, controllers. The main bulk of the body harness will be installed and then probably left unterminated at the ends. So basically, you know, what that does is it just saves any kind of small fabrication labor that may have to happen once the car comes out of paint.
Right.
Because you don't realize, but, you know, mounting electronics and stuff, there's a lot of stuff that happens on the back end. So try to plan for it a little bit better by hitting wiring before it goes to paint.
Exactly. Good strategy. And the last one over here in the Fab Shop before we head over to assembly.
Simon 70 Chevelle.
Yes.
Super dope.
Very dope. Very excited about it.
Yep.
As far as this car goes, just getting the body squared away, handling a lot of the rust repair.
Yeah, and a lot being actual minor rust repair.
Right.
Josh cleaned up the firewall filler, hose passed through already. We're replacing the cowl. It was kind of crusty around the edges, and it would have been just enough patches to not make sense. So
yeah,
pop the cowl off, epoxied inside so it won't rust, and then new cowl will go on. Got a couple of small patches in the rear floorboard, super minor.
I mean, that's not bad at all.
No, the rest of the floor after blast, super nice shape.
I think it's crazy how, like, just from the factory, I don't know if it's just like the stamping dies getting tired or just all the wrinkles.
Yeah, I mean, part of it's, you're working within the constraints of what sheet metal can physically do. So,
yeah.
You have areas that are stretched and areas that are basically shrunk, and all those wrinkles are where it's shrunk. It's nowhere for the material to go, so that's what happens.
Yeah.
We'll do a tunnel, and it'll bring the whole thing up. We plan on running the car pretty low and with a 345 tire, so realistically we'll probably do the main transmission tunnel and then just carry the transition all the way back to that hump there.
Similar to what we did with the Daytona.
Yeah, and even the GTO, it gets you that extra clearance around the drive shaft and stuff. You start running the car really low, and it pushes everything up in the car.
The dent's gone.
Money.
Yep. I was disappointed because I told Mark to let me know when they were going to do that.
Afters.
Yeah, and then I came down this morning and I saw it wasn't there anymore, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we did that yesterday."
No, it looks killer. I mean, it's super nice job. So
yeah, wouldn't even know it was there.
No.
We'll head over here because I know Josh is doing some cutting and welding, but
yep. About honestly, the rest of the rust repair that the car needs is we knew it needed lower quarters. Somebody filled them full of fiberglass at some point. Actually, I think we referenced it. This car was repainted at a community college at some point. So
yeah, so that may have been their handiwork.
Yeah, probably some kids in a week in a community college body shop. So it had a bunch of fiberglass in here. So we got the trunk pan drops and then the lower quarter patches, and honestly, as far as like sheet metal repair, this thing will be wrapped up in that aspect in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you could see like just right here was cleaned up, just small patches here and there, but it wasn't enough damage or rust to justify an entire quarter panel.
Yeah, no way. Not as nice as these things were.
There's one last thing I want to touch on before we head over. I know this is kind of your forte. What is this?
Are we allowed to tell them?
Yeah, we can tell them.
Okay. It's a front clip out of a 05 to 15 Toyota Tacoma. So we're getting ready to start a K5 Blazer project. Drivability was a huge concern or a high point for the customer. Ultimately wanted to keep it four-wheel drive, still have the stance, all terrains, a little bit of lift. But anybody that's ever driven a straight axle truck, especially a lifted Blazer, like this,
not fun.
They can be a handful at highway speed, to say the least. So, did a bunch of searching around. Initially, we looked into, the Silverados would be your first choice, but the track width on the late model Silverados is too wide. So, ultimately, the Tacoma ended up being within a half inch or so of the appropriate track width to the Blazer.
Okay.
So what that does for us is it gets us a 6-lug, 4-wheel drive, right track width, and then the aftermarket support for the Toyotas is huge. So we're doing plate steel control arms, probably King coilovers, like a mid-travel kit.
Yep.
So a bunch of really nice suspension components, and then like I said, we'll retain the 4-wheel drive, be like a 410 gear, LS3 525 horse with a 480. So
sweet. So this will be it'll be a Toyota Tacoma front half
K5.
Blazer. So that'll be pretty cool. It'll be unique, but I mean, just the overall serviceability too. If you ever need to replace anything, it's off the shelf products.
Yeah, serviceability and drivability. I mean, because he said multiple times that if he wants to get on the highway and run 70, 80 miles an hour, he doesn't want to have to worry about it. And
yeah,
a four-wheel drive IFS front suspension is the way to do it.
All right, now we are over in the assembly and paint and body side of the shop. Before we head over to the big stuff over there, here's a quick update on Carl's Z28. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what we did to the car? I think we mentioned to people this was a quick in and out project,
yeah.
But
so Carl is local to us. Really clean Z28, 81 I believe it is. His big thing was he really wanted to update the driving and handling characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
So we did the Quadrolink rear install, no tubs. It's got our base coilover JRI shocks, and then in the front we did Speed Kit 2 with JRIs. Did the upgraded steering box and steering shaft. So basically the suspension is completely new. It definitely changed the car. 10 times over is so much better than it was.
Yeah, nice and smooth.
Yep. And then a couple of small nitpicky items we were taking care of for him. Had the decals installed, stuff like trunk springs, a few gauges not working, and just basically trying to get the car ready for him for this nice spring cruising weather we're having.
Yeah, something he can just hop in, turn the key, and go, not have to worry about anything. So yeah, huge shout out to TDS, the decal source. So we ordered this decal kit, and they came in and installed it. Did an awesome job as usual. They're our local go-tos when it comes to decals.
Sure. And I think they do a lot of our clear protective film too.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. Good looking Z28.
Really nice driver for sure. Especially you don't see a lot of the rubber nose cars that are in this nice of shape. So
they don't get enough respect.
They're getting there, but yep, this is definitely a nice one.
Yeah, and I think it's cool that he decided not to tub it. So this has a Dana swapped into it, and Mark just went ahead and welded our brackets onto it because it's still a 3-inch axle tube. So once you have this kit, you can put it on any axle you want, even a 10-bolt if you're risky. Actually, before we head over there, we could talk about this.
Yep.
So Mark brought the 69 Camaro convertible back to us, a few little maintenance items since we completed it a couple years ago, and then we painted the wheel hoops. So he wanted the gray to match the vents and the stripes we have on the back and the front there too.
Yep.
So a nice little change.
Yep. So yeah, like I said, just some maintenance items. Worked on the calibration just a little bit, and just again, everybody's getting their cars ready for spring and summertime. So
yeah,
this one will ship back out next week.
So yeah, I like that. So yeah, Southern Integrity will be here to pick this up and drop it off, and then we should have
the Mustang back next week.
The Mustang comes back next week. Chris's car back from upholstery, and then when that comes back from upholstery, the C10 is going to upholstery. So yeah, me and Jason were messing around with the lights on this thing today. He was showing me all the different functions of that. Come on, wait, you're yawning. Jeez. So Jason was showing me a bunch of the Dapper Lighting functions that he put into this thing today. We could actually probably show that off. So one of the cool features of the Holly dashes is you can change the backgrounds and everything's fully customizable. So we'll scroll through here. So yeah, you can turn all these switches on. So we'll do the white first. And I'll have you hit the amber at some point. We can look at that. Yeah, see, these are Dapper Lighting headlights. So they have a halo on them. Matt, you want to switch it to amber? Boom. Look at that. So that, along with like the parking lights, is just a cool little running light. You have the option of amber or white. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, this truck's coming together. Jason told me at some point today they'd like to try and start it.
They got the hood on this week too. This is that carbon hood that Fiber Forged. They built that hood for us, and they're the ones doing all the carbon work on the Daytona. So
yeah,
super nice hood.
And it's funny because when we got this hood, I have that picture of Bruce holding it. Yeah. I'll drop that in here, but it barely weighs anything when you compare it to the usual weight of a factory C10 hood.
It's amazing too how rigid it is with the full one-piece understructure. It makes the hood really sturdy.
Yeah. So that's on there. It's all coming together. I'm looking forward to seeing those Kill Duff shifters get rode through, and a whole bunch of smoke coming off these tires.
Yep. All the glass got installed this week too. That's fairly fresh.
Yeah, we have a local guy that comes out and do that. What was that, Wilson's?
Yep.
So yeah, like Matt said, she's coming along. Next stop is Alabama over at M&M for upholstery. Is it gonna get just a bench seat?
Yep, bench seat. It's actually right there. Currently, kind of a saddle color.
Okay.
It's gonna go black leather with a dark gray Relicate houndstooth insert.
Okay.
Black carpet, like the European style Mercedes. That kind of like real fluffy kind of tough. They're gonna scratch build door panels for it, but you know, being a truck, regular cab, it's a pretty simple interior.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to it. Nothing wild.
Pretty quick turnaround.
Jason and I were discussing earlier this morning about, you know, what we think they're going to do with the shifter and the boots and how they're gonna get past that one. So
straight up leather glove.
Yeah, something. So we'll have to figure out. We look forward to seeing their ingenuity and how they find a solution to that. That'll be pretty cool.
It's gonna be sick though.
Yeah, and then that takes us over to the Riv. We did a quick edit on the Riviera last week, 2 weeks ago. After we got the chassis mated to the body, and it looks like Josh and Jason are just doing a lot of electrical work back here.
Yep. So
getting everything installed.
And kind of like we referenced on the GTO as far as the car getting pre-wired.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, this car got finished up, the shell got finished up in the body shop, and like if you peek inside here, you can see how much of the wiring is already in the car. So,
yeah,
you know, this amount of wiring was already finished up and done before it ever went to paint. So you got the whole main body harness run in front to rear, and it was unterminated. Most of the vintage air stuff was landed. The whole engine was wired when it was just in the chassis.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff happened up front, so then it allows you to just slam it all in the car once the body's ready.
Yeah, and all the dynamat that Brandon's been putting into. So it'll be nice and quiet in here.
Yeah.
It's coming along. Holly Dominator.
What's crazy is to sit here and look at the engine, and that engine's fully wired.
Yeah, you can't see anything.
No, not a thing.
That's what I love about it. Can't see a single thing. Yeah, it's all, everything gets tucked way into the back, and you can kind of see it through here. But once you have inner fenders and everything else going on,
yeah,
you won't be able to see any of that stuff. All hidden.
Somebody might call us out on the coolant temp sensor.
That might be the only thing. Yeah, that's a hard one to hide, but it's not really a nail head, it's an LS.
But you
so
know,
you have that
right next to the ABS unit. That's not really period correct either.
No, not at all. This thing's gonna be fun, but I think that's really all we have for you guys today. You know, we walked through both the shops, gave you some pretty good updates, a lot of information to take in. It's been a little bit, so we apologize for the delay.
Did we ever show the K5 outside after it showed up? Sitting on the breezeway.
I don't think we did. Never mind, we're not ending this video. Cut to outside. All right, we're out in the breezeway, and you guys will have to ignore the pollen, because I mean, we're in North Carolina and it's springtime, so yeah, everything can't get away from it.
Everything turns yellow for a month.
Yep. So what are we working with here?
72 K5 Blazer.
Just the roller.
Yep.
But it's got good bones.
It does. For a Blazer, it's a really solid tub. Not really any rust issues, but bare shell. Basically what you see is what you get.
Yeah. Nothing too crazy. No engine, no trans.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Stuff that we would basically scrap out anyway. So it's got some kind of big lift springs on it. So once we get into it, you know, the owner was talking about roughly 2 inches of lift over stock height. Probably a 33 or 34 inch tire.
Right. So as far as height goes, it'll probably be similar to what we're looking at right now.
No, it'll definitely be lower than this.
Lower than this?
Yeah.
Okay. Got the poor old Fox body outside. But yeah, that's it.
Yep.
The Blazer.
Ready to go.
So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. If you like videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, because we're gonna try and do these more often as possible. We're extremely busy here, we got a lot going on, so we'll try and keep you updated and bring you along with the journey of all these cars getting built. So thank you, Matt.